Good evening, and welcome to the Best of Both Worlds podcast. I'm Sasquatch Bride.
Yay! I, Bob Frapples 50.
Oh, you're 50 now? You've gone up one.
Well, there's been enough inflation by this day, August 13th, 2017.
I was about to
actually,
the inflation for the actual time.
That would require doing math, and
No, man,
without lying, it's 9:30 in the morning, and I'm not doing math at 9:30 in the morning unless someone's life depends on it.
Oh, I'm working on it. I got you.
So $49.
Yeah, $49.
In 2017 to inflation in 2025.
July of 2025.
We're taking this
You are
offhanded comment.
You are actually Bob Frapples 65.
Oh, that's so close.
That's so close. Maybe next
Bob
year.
Frapples 65 and change.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's 18 cents of change if you want to get specific.
Bob Frapples 65 and 18 cents. Go on.
Alright, no, that's perfect. Way to make ourselves feel old. As if I wasn't turning 30 this year. That's wild.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, it's only been a little while since we've done one of these. And in that time frame, in that very small amount of time, there have
In that time frame, I have been exclusively listening to the Maester's Conclave on repeat, and if you haven't, dear listeners, you know who you are.
I said the other day, not my best DMing session. Not my worst.
It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun.
I have very positive thoughts thinking back on it, but I also feel like if I actually rewatched it, I would be filled with a level of cringe that would make me self-immolate. Just like that. Like I got.
Like, would you
Thanos
have to
stamped.
find an ignition source, or would your body actually completely spontaneously combust?
No, it's just total spontaneous combustion. Like I would Thanos.
Okay.
I would essentially Thanos snapped myself. Like I would just like start drifting apart into chunks.
So both like entertaining and sad.
Yeah, 100%.
I think Ferb, I guess I know what we're doing today. Best of Both Worlds, Maester's Conclave, 7 years later recap.
I think the issue, honestly, was that it was super railroady, and I mean it was kind of by design because it was like a very contained story. But looking back, it was a lot more like, hey, I have this fun story, and you guys are going to be on rails, and you're going to sit there, and you're, like, lap barred down like roller coaster chairs, and you're not going to be allowed to do anything that I want you to do, and you're going to watch me play an RPG movie in front of you. All right, let's move on.
I mean, that's a little railroady. The worst DM choice that I planned, and I intended, because I'm sure I've made worse one-off choices, but the worst one that I actually planned and thought was a good idea was I was doing a one-shot with people that were part of my regular D&D group. I don't think we've ever talked about before how I DM too, but even by the level of control and general a-holeness I've had in the past here, it's probably not a surprise that I like the control of DMing. There's some self-reflective energy for your 9:30 in the morning. The choice that I made was I decided it would be really fun across different campaigns that were otherwise disconnected to have a multiversal plot thread, and that in each campaign, if characters made a specific choice, their character would like win a golden ticket to be part of this multiversal threat campaign. And the problem is I debuted this in a one-shot where I explained none of this, and all of a sudden people were... it was a comedy one-shot. They were taken from the comedy world into like this super dark thing where they met some of the villains, received this artifact that had nothing to do with the main plot and no explanation that it was part of a different game, and then I put them back in the main story, and so the entire rest of the main story, they were trying to get back to this MacGuffin that they thought they had to solve to finish the one-shot. And I thought this was a good idea. And so that's why I'm explaining it now as an invitation to all of you to come to my house to find me and to kidnap me until I do this horrible idea and bring it to completion. You have already exposed the recesses of my soul that I did not intend to share this morning. This evening, but here we are.
Oof. I'm trying
Actually, though, it would be really fun to talk about like our biggest mistakes DMing.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting
I was actually trying to rethink what my biggest mistake DMing has been. I mean, I have a super derpy one. Though I had one that just like fizzled. So I had this. This was during the West Marches Spelljammer campaign that I was running there for a year or two, and so my players were going to... I don't remember what the plant was called. I have all this. I could go find it again. But it was essentially Arrakis. It was essentially like a desert planet. But instead of Harkonnen, the main like controlling faction of the planet was Mind Flayers. Were Illithids. And so they just had like colonies just like everywhere. And so the Fremen were a bunch of people who have figured out how to like rise up and are like former Illithid slaves. So they're all doing like the kind of like guerrilla warfare things and yada yada. Anyway, so the Lithids had captured a ship of one of the pieces that had a PC's brother on it. So they're all like, "Hey, we're gonna go to this planet, and we're gonna go save my Illithid brother." Or no, not my Illithid brother, my brother from the Illithids. We're gonna go save my brother, right? You're just like, "Oh, we're gonna do this, guys. It's gonna be great." And so, I'm like, great. So you guys are all on a ship. So like when we're in text and writing half, because we would do that in between sessions, I'd be like, okay, so we have this session planned. You guys are all getting on the ship. You're going to the planet, and that's how I left it off. And then when the session picked up, they were in a village. They didn't know each other, and they're all living this like super idyllic, chill lifestyles. And it was in the middle of like a festival thing, and they all felt like they were teenagers, and they all had their normal abilities, like what they could actually do, but they had to like work to like figure it out. And so essentially, I had the whole like forgotten. It was very Matrixy. It was very Matrixy. So the Illithids put everybody in this like simulation, because they're researching and they're like humans and whatnot, and so they put everybody into just like simulation tubes and just uploaded all their brains to a simulation. They're just like living out like completely different lives, and then so they had to break out, right? And there's just holes there, and they just didn't remember. And so I had this whole thing of they were able to break out because before, in the time that they don't remember, I'm forgetting the word for that. What's the amnesia? In the amnesia time, because even when they did remember who they were, they remember like being in transit to the planet and then nothing else. So in the memory gap, they met an Alhoon, who's like a special kind of like albino Illithid who doesn't like the rest of the Illithids. They met an Alhoon who also wanted to break out this guy's brother out of the Illithid prison, and he gave everyone a special potion so that they would be able to like regain their mental capacities faster than they should be able to, but they're gonna forget everything. So they, like in my brain, they met this Alhoon, they have a previous relationship with this Alhoon, everything, then that's why they're different and everything, and I was like, okay, I have all this written down, like it's in the lore now, like, ooh, like this Alhoon can like pop back up, and then they can like, he can be like, oh, hey, I'm your friend, and you even remember me, and they'll be like, what? Or like they'll have questions, right? Like they'll want to pull on this story thread of how were we different, and then nothing. Never broke out of prison, flew away, didn't question anything else. Didn't even talk about it with each other. Not one character said to another character, "Hey, isn't it weird that you don't remember anything? I wonder what happened." Nothing. Did not even have a conversation about it. They said, "We got this guy's brother. That's great. We don't know where the ship is. Maybe we should just
I don't
call
think that's
for the
your
ship."
fault.
It wasn't my fault.
I don't think that's...
It wasn't my fault necessarily, but it was.
You're talking about this like it was your biggest derpy mistake, but that's right up there with, you know, in the same way there are rules of acquisition, there are rules of D&D, and like one of them is if you start your players in a tavern with, you know, the clear ancient Lich King who has come with a mission for them, or with Sam Smorkle, the frickin' goblin, they're always going to say, I want to go talk to Sam Smorkle. Not because there's anything wrong with the other, but because, at least if you're like me, I find it funnier to go where the plot isn't. I am well known as being in every GM's campaign, I love to derail it and find where they weren't expecting the plot to go. Not just because I'm being a jerk, but because I genuinely think there's a more interesting adventure there.
Yeah.
Sam Smorkle is he's just a little guy.
Yeah.
And he's just a little guy. I want to see what the little guy has to say.
Yeah. The big GM trick there is to actually make Sam Smorkle the intended plot, knowing that you're going to go after Sam Smorkle to begin with, and constantly leave these like massive, like, ancient seven-headed seven-crowned figures randomly in the tavern, oozing whispers of malice and shadow.
All their whispers are just Smorkle, Smorkle.
Yeah, right next to a goofy little goblin guy, knowing that you're gonna just talk to the goblin guy, and that's what I wanted you to do all along.
And that's when you just see me throw my hands in the air and, like, pull away from the table and stand up and yell, fine, I'll talk to the Lich King.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That actually is some really good reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Because usually it's like, how do I shoehorn Sam Smorkle in as, you know, the reluctant lackey of this guy, because now I need them to find the plot somehow.
Yeah.
Actually just making Sam Smorkle the guy, and all of the other people, you know.
Yeah, you were actually supposed to talk to Sam Smorkle to begin with.
My other favorite trope about that is the comparison that being a D&D party is like bursting down the doors of a CVS, going and asking other patrons if they know, like, where the mayor's house is, and paying them $500, going up, trying to negotiate with the clerk, saying they just stopped a murder and so you should get all your stuff for free, and then leaving a $10,000 tip on your way out.
Sure, this is a Wendy's.
It's such a good trope, though. It's so accurate.
It is super accurate. But as a player, to be fair, that's 100% justified. When I just finished saving the entire village from the hobgoblin raid or whatever it was, and then I go into the magic item place that's randomly in this town of 50 people, and I have no idea how they have the economy to support an entire magic item shop, but somehow they do. And the magic shop owner looks at me and he's like, yes, this potion of healing is going to be 7,500 gold. I'm like, that is outrageous. I deserve this, clearly. And you should give it to me for free.
That's how I feel walking into a car dealership.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that's a different kind of capitalistic nightmare, but yeah.
One last thought before I allow you to proceed with the actual goal of this episode, which is, do you know, I recently learned, do you know what CVS stands for? I recently learned it, and it's an interesting tidbit.
Oh, I think I used to at one point, but I don't think I do anymore.
Stands for the CV of Sam Smorkle.
His resume?
Yeah. Just his academic resume of Sam Smorkle. That's why their receipts are like 3 chapters long.
Really long. He's putting his entire resume on every single one of his receipts.
Or Sam Smorkle. He just wants someone.
Him yet.
He just wants someone to read his freaking thesis, and he will put it on your receipts until you do.
And none of you have read it yet, and it's starting to feel personal.
And you know who you were, and that you were invited to read it, and you could have said no, but you said you would.
You said you would. And he is gathering those receipts.
And this is why Sam Smorkle becomes the BBEG, because no one would read thesis or come to his, defense of it, so he didn't get his doctorate despite the fact he did all the work. No one would come and actually listen. And so the entire campaign is just him trying to gather adventurers in one place so he can finally qualify for his doctorate.
By kidnapping
That's
them.
Dr. Sam Smorkle,
That's
you
Dr.
plebeians.
Sam Smorkle to you. That is truly a villain origin story worth telling.
That actually is good enough that I kind of want to use that as a one-shot.
I kind of want to use it, yeah, 100%.
Besides, how many
what
times...
What foul purposes have you kidnapped for us, villain? Just shuffles a stack of papers.
You will sit here for multiple hours and actually read! Besides, how much better would it be, instead of starting people in a tavern, how passé, to say you find yourself in a CVS?
You find yourself in a CVS.
Like, no one has ever started a D&D campaign that way.
Well, maybe someone running Call of Cthulhu.
You find yourself in a Family Dollar.
No, that's worse. That's much worse.
And that's why we're pleased to introduce this episode's sponsor, Family Dollar Stores. For the next time you want something that is both not a dollar and comes with mortal danger, please visit our sponsor, Family Dollar.
I thought you were about to say, we welcome this episode special guest, Josh Johnson.
I did just watch that.
Yeah, me too. I watched that this morning.
You are giving it away. It's not 2017 right now. So
I know why you just said Family Dollar. I know why you have Family Dollar on the mind.
I definitely didn't eat chips and salsa and listen to that last night instead of going to sleep. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Josh Johnson is on generational run.
Gosh. I want to play D&D with Josh Johnson.
Oh, so bad. I would. That'd be a beautiful...
I don't even know if he plays, but I want to play D&D with Josh Johnson.
Listen, I mean, Josh Johnson and Brennan Lee Mulligan only have 1 degree of separation. Josh Johnson's been on Game Changer.
True. That's right. He was on Game Changer.
It's right there.
It was a good episode, too.
So
For some reason, I kept coming back to when he was hosting The Daily Show, and I was like, Brendan Lee Mulligan hasn't hosted The Daily Show?
Brendan Lee Mulligan... I'm considering whether he should host The Daily Show. He could. I don't know if I think he should.
I think his tirade-y style when he's the funniest doesn't really suit the fake news. Because they're trying to do this whole different thing.
Yeah. So could.
So just like
shouldn't.
DMing, I think we kind of lost the plot, didn't we?
Yes, much like we did when we were searching for Sam Smorkle.
Star Trek 3: The Search for Sam Smorkle.
That is a Star Trek show worth watching. Unlike Strange New Worlds.
This is hotly debated.
This is hotly debated. Okay, so I have prepared some issues with Strange New Worlds. I'm done. Okay, I'm going to mute to walk back that comment. Okay, I kind of dislike Strange New Worlds. I'm getting to the point where I kind of dislike Strange New Worlds. I don't think that it is lost forever. I think it continues to have some potential remaining. But radically, they need to change some things about the show radically. And that's what I'm going to talk about. So, before then, like, how do you feel about Strange New Worlds right now? We are at a very interesting point where we are almost exactly halfway through the series. Because we are halfway through season 3, and there's only going to be 5 seasons. So...
And the 5th season is 6 episodes instead of 10.
Yeah, it's
so we're slightly more.
We're slightly more than
as we're recording this, we're like week by week. I think we're right around the halfway mark of episodes.
Yeah. So we're.
Total.
I am getting concerned. I am getting deeply concerned. How do you feel?
As we record this, the last episode that aired is Through the Lens of Time.
Yeah.
How do I feel about it? I like it more than some of the new Trek stuff that has come out. I have watched all of the Paramount Trek as it has come out. It is the primary reason that I supported Paramount Plus. I got into the show because it had both the backdoor from the original series and it had the backdoor from Discovery, and I did watch Discovery. Sassy has made a principled stand not to. I did watch Discovery, and I thought when they tried to integrate the Strange New Worlds cast and ship into that, they actually did a pretty good job. And I really liked Anson Mount coming in. I liked his take on Captain Pike, especially because I thought at that point in the show's history, the only character I really liked on Discovery was Saru, who remains maybe the only good character for the entire series. Hot take. I do really like Saru. So when these guys come in and you get, a proper sequel to the original pilot, the Cage from the original, the original series, that would technically now be like the pilot for Strange New Worlds that became the original series, but was the Jeffrey Hunter version of Pike. So we get a follow-up to that. We get stuff that it works with some of the lore from Discovery, which I don't love, some of the time crystal stuff, all that. And I really liked the characters as we met them there. And I was excited that we were going to get them in a different series. I thought the way that they handled some of the canon stuff of updating some of the visuals, but trying to keep it looking a little bit more retro-futuristic than just the, glass and steel of Discovery, which I did not care for the aesthetic of at all, especially as a prequel. I am one of those people that's like, you should probably try and keep visual continuity, which is, the worst type of nerd. But my brain doesn't like that, and I like the way they handled it, of trying to keep the color of the interfaces, but instead of having them be buttons that are unlabeled, actually keep those colors as part of a digital interface. I was like, that's pretty good. I liked the in-jokes they made about how there were holograms, holographic displays and holograms on the original Enterprise, and then Pike was a Luddite and rip them out. They don't work well, and so that's why they're not on Kirk's Enterprise, that Pike had a tantrum about how bad the holograms were and took them out. I thought that was really funny. So I was very excited when we got this show. And in general, I think it has been one of my favorite of the new Trek shows. It's not my ultimate favorite. I do like both Lower Decks and Prodigy more, but I think it's probably taking the number 3 spot of I think it is the best live-action new Trek show. I like how they've gone a little bit off the deep end, doing some one-off episodes that are a little crazy. If they do that all the time, it's going to get kind of cringe. So I hope that they, continue to do a mix of some, one or two off the cuff episodes, but not all the time. I like the characters for the most part. I do have a list of things that I think they could let go of. I'm guessing we're going to end up talking about them. But in general, I would say I like Strange New Worlds. It does not compare to me to Deep Space Nine or even the original series. But I will pleasantly watch Strange New Worlds without a complaint.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not going to be excited to watch it, but I will gladly watch it.
So, to be fair, just off the top of my brain, the Strange New Worlds is competing for the best new live-action Trek with Discovery and the Section 31 movie?
And Picard.
Oh, Picard,
and
yeah.
Isn't there one series? No, there wasn't, was there?
I always forget about Picard.
Was there? No. Yeah, so it'd be Discovery and Picard. And I don't dislike Picard. It's just not, Picard has its moments.
Picard has its moments. I mentioned to you a couple of days ago that I think everybody's favorite season, Picard, is season 3. I don't think that's...
Which is kind of crazy. All 3 seasons are wildly different.
So wildly different.
It's the show that has struggled the most to find its own identity. Yeah. It just felt like it was Patrick Stewart wanting to come back, and so we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It feels more like you promised the D&D campaign to your friend and then have to come up with it on the spot because your friend wants to play D&D, than that you have a great idea for a campaign, so let's grab the best people to play it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think it goes better. It gets better as it goes on. So that's the weird thing of Picard is when you judge it as a whole, I agree. I think Strange New Worlds is probably the best new Star Trek live action series. If we were just doing Picard season 3 and you forgot about the first 2 or they didn't exist, I feel like season 3 or we would be calling Picard the best.
I'm going to soft disagree because I think that Strange New Worlds does some more interesting stuff than that. But I could totally respect that opinion without being upset.
Yeah. My issue that I'm getting with Strange New Worlds is I like you have also harped that the bridge is too fancy. The bridge and the instrument panels should look exactly as they were in TOS. There should be no changes. It should be lit like a TV show that was produced in the 1960s. Obviously, to a degree, I have kind of relented on that. Like at some point in time, they do need to kind of like modernize it a little bit, just for people to watch it, right? So like, I kind of get it. Honestly, I kind of dig the leather away jackets. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of dig.
Let's go hard.
It goes hard.
Let's go hard.
I like it.
It feels like an Enterprise callback in the best way.
Yes. I kind of dig it, and I kind of like that they did that in Picard as well, that they started doing the leather away jacket thing.
I do wish, though, that means we did get to see not the rebooted original series cast, but the original series cast in jackets like that.
Yes,
that would have been very cool. And so it does make me sad retroactively.
Yes.
We were going for space military, not for cool. Well, that's more complicated, but yeah.
I understand. Aesthetically, we are going for space military, to be fair.
Yeah. Uniforms. We're going for uniforms.
My biggest issue with Strange New Worlds is that now, and I haven't gone back and updated anything from the previous seasons, so this is just in season 3. They are making decisions that I feel are actively damaging to existing canon.
Shipping Spock with everybody?
Well, that was going to be the third thing I talked about, but let's talk about that first. Why are you shipping Spock with everybody? That is
I don't know. We
ridiculous.
haven't had Spock and Mbenga yet.
Honestly, that's the only one I would have accepted to begin with. Okay, I kind of liked that him and Christine had a flirty thing going, because that comes up in the original series. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind the flirty thing. I think they pushed it way too far, and then now Spock is just a hormonal teenager getting into a situationship with La'an? What are we doing? And La'an's an entirely separate issue, because I'd have vast disagreements with the way her character is written, too. She had a weird falling thing for Kirk in there, and then that whole scenario.
I mean,
technically season 2.
I get it as a writing choice. It's probably going to be that she ends up leaving the Enterprise because of her old feelings about Kirk or her situationship with Spock, and one of the two of those is probably going to be why she leaves.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a choice. People, it's a little bit damning on your whole space military thing if people can't their pants on enough that it spoils their career.
There's that.
That is also
the specific.
It's not divorced from reality. That has happened in reality.
I mean, there's that. But I mean, like,
I just don't care for it as a creative choice.
Yeah, and specifically to put Spock in that circumstance. Spock is one of the most legendary characters in the entirety of Star Trek.
I do.
He
this
is
less
iconic.
Than him having.
That's iconic. That means Star Trek.
Yeah. Okay, I do hate Spock's situationship with La'an less than I hate Spock having a secret sister. So,
I mean, yeah,
they can hand wave away La'an a lot more than they can hand wave away, hey, this character that we've portrayed, and it was such a big deal that he had a secret sibling in one of the movies. Well, what if we make another whole show because he had an adopted sister? Because everything has to revolve around Spock, but not in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, there's also that.
That's a strike against Discovery as a concept, not a strike against. Yeah.
I didn't even remember that one because I have to refuse to watch Discovery. So thanks for
Michael Burnham is Spock's adopted human sister because everything has to come back to Spock.
Because everything has to go back to Spock. It's like out of all of the other people on the entire ship that La'an could have a thing for. Why do we choose to involve Spock in other force romance situation? It's like, please stop. And I know why they did it. And this is getting into what I'm going to say is my biggest issue with Strange New Worlds is that they're making these choices that are actively damaging to existing canon because they have run out of new ideas. I don't think
I'm going to hard disagree on that.
Because everything that they're doing is they are doing forced reruns of previous Star Trek storylines. And the thing that Star Trek has done multiple times is, isn't it very interesting if we take the Vulcans, who don't have emotions, and then we put them into a romantic relationship? They do this a lot. It used to be, because there wasn't a prominent Vulcan on TNG, it used to be Data that they would always think it was like, oh, wouldn't it be interesting if we play around with relationship with Data? Which is a little understandable and a little bit separate. They did this with T'Pol on Enterprise. Multiple times they did this with T'Pol. Ooh, who's T'Pol? T'Pol might be in love with Archer. Maybe T'Pol has a thing with this other Vulcan guy. Maybe T'Pol has this other thing with this other guy. with Trip, there's that they like identifying that in the Vulcans, and they like doing that to the Vulcans specifically. TOS did it with Spock a lot. Ooh, and that's where the Christine thing I think came about, is because she's always like Mr. Spock, and multiple other like guest people are just like, oh, I think Spock's just really hot, and he's just always like, it doesn't really bother me, you know. That's why
just regardless of era, I will always call that practice CWification.
Yeah, that's fair. And so I don't like they do it specifically with Spock, and I know that's why they do it with Spock. But to me, it's like, please do it with somebody else. We've seen that before, and it doesn't make sense for this young version of Spock to be in that situation right now. He should not be toying with that. That shouldn't be running around with it.
Two thoughts.
Yeah.
One, two thoughts that are both gone. One, I disagree that they've run out of plots. I actually think they have a decent number of plots that are still left, and they choose the Spock one instead, which is even more frustrating, because I think they do have original ideas, and they're choosing not to use them in favor of the slop idea.
There's that.
And two, hashtag ship everyone with Palia.
I would like that better.
It would be really, really funny if she's just ancient and has had situationships with everyone on the ship. That would be much funnier.
I think that would be hilarious. I'd be more okay with that than trying to ship Spock with everybody.
Have a one-off reference in some episode of Spock referencing how he and Palia used to be a thing, and everyone looks at him funny, and he raises an eyebrow, and you can't tell if he's joking or not. Hey, crap, I just revealed the plans for Season 4. The entire Spock-Palia situationship.
Oh no.
Quick. Akiva Goldman, hide me from him.
Yeah, so, yeah, to your point, they do have some interesting ideas. Like the hybrid Gord thing that's going on with Captain Patel. I'm not crazy that Captain Patel is still hanging out on Enterprise for some reason. Didn't make that like there's narratively. I'm not crazy about the choice. I can hand wave that. I already had those issues about Kirk. It's like, you're the XO of an entirely different starship. Why are you still hanging out on Enterprise for no reason? Like, why are you here? Yeah. You have other things that you're supposed to be doing. You know,
Discovery had the same problem. That's part of a carryover of that of how the lines between who's commanding what are semi-permeable for narrative.
I don't like it.
Yeah. Do you finish the episode, the Time Temple episode?
Yes, I have finished the Time Temple episode.
Okay, so I do think it is very interesting, though, that this hybrid Gorn thing seems to have some relationship to this other interdimensional parasite thing. I'm big on the idea of what if that's part of the Gorn's thing, is having this whole dynamic with other extra-dimensional stuff, and their interactions with humans are kind of incidental. So I am big on that storyline idea, and I hope they follow up in a satisfying way. I know they are going to follow up. The showrunners have already said we're planning on bringing these guys back probably before the end of Season 3.
That'd be good. Yeah, the way...
yes.
That is my biggest issue with Hegemony Part 2, is I do feel like they dealt with the Gorn very hand-wavy. Like, and they're all asleep now.
But we are named after an episode where they did the same thing to the Borg.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So they just best of both worlds-ified it.
They did.
Very
they
much.
Did. Because they've run out of original ideas. They like, let's do our version of best of both worlds. Sub-Gorn for Borg. They both have 4 letters in the name. It's perfect. In addition, let's talk about Episode 2. So there has long been a fan theory that Trelane, the very powerful entity from the original series, has actually been a Q. Was actually a Q because whatever super powerful race of aliens that it was in the original series was not named. I don't entirely hate the idea of entirely hate the idea of saying Trelane was a Q, and canonizing that. Kind of okay with that. The issue is, this is not the show to bring it up in. You should not bring Trelane back to Strange New Worlds. Because now you have all of these people. You have Spock, you have Uhura, and you have Scotty, who now know this guy's name is Trelane and all of his issues, and then, canonically, in 5 years they're going to meet him again and they're going to have no idea who the guy is.
Seriously, you know what show they should have brought Trelane back in?
Discovery,
because if you brought Trelane back 1,000 years in the future, where he was gone from, like, petulant child Q to moody adolescent Q, that would be really funny and actually play in well, especially if he's taking the piss out of them for all the Star Trek tropes they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
If you just make it so that now he's like a representation of the fandom being kind of pissed off at their loose interpretation of canon, and then he can be like, snap, I just made, this thing inconsistent about Archer's Enterprise, and you can be like, oh, that's where that came from.
Yeah.
And, some stupid hand-wavy thing like that.
Yeah.
That would actually be really funny to
That
see a
would be
moody
really funny.
teenage Q.
Yeah. But they forced him into Strange New Worlds because they've run out of original ideas.
It's not an idea that I think I would have wanted them to do, but the way they did it, I think they did well. I did enjoy the episode, so I agree that they shouldn't have made the episode, but if they were going to make the episode, I think they made it well.
I would agree with that. I feel like you could use a Q entity from the Continuum and have it not been Q or Trelane, and it would have had a similar fun effect.
Yeah. That one was very clearly a forced callback that felt forced.
Forced callback that felt forced. In addition, not only did they mess that up, but then they heavily imply, I guess you could say that this isn't entirely canon, but you could heavily imply that Trelane is Q's son.
The one from Voyager.
Okay, is that what they said?
No.
Because
specifically
I don't
in
think
interviews afterwards. Specifically in interviews afterwards, they're like, we're not saying anything about Trelane or Q's son from Voyager. We're just exploring. We're leaving it open to interpretation, which is the most wishy-washy answer possible.
It's a wishy-washy answer, because the way I interpreted it, I thought that they were saying that this Trelane was Q's son before Q has a son in Voyager, which entirely breaks all of that canon.
Well, if you take the interpretation that Q's are able to travel freely in time and don't really exist in time, then it's not a problem.
I think that's less of a problem. Yeah.
I do wish that instead of being wishy-washy, they were just planting their flag, and it would be much funnier if, John Delancey had said something like, we'll see what your Auntie Catherine has to say about this, implying he's going to get a lesson on the temporal prime directive, and Janeway, or what would have been even freaking funnier is to do a post-credit scene of bring back Kate Mulgrew in the Prodigy era uniforms, giving a lesson on temporal prime directive to that. I feel like you could have gotten Kate Mulgrew back for that.
That would have been better.
That would have been really funny.
Okay. See, just that little tweak to it would have made me fine with the whole thing. It would have.
The problem is that for canon heads like us that are really big on it needs to follow what's been established before. There's a whole movement right now that the showrunners in New Trek have bought into, which says we're going to take on some of the existing canon, but we're not being burdened by all of the existing canon. And I find that to be frustratingly inconsistent. Like, if you just want to say, hey, we're doing our own thing, we're going to do a J.J. Abrams style, hey, we're using the trappings of Star Trek, but doing our own thing, it might not be for me, but I get it. It carves its own identity. But trying to say, no, this is actually a prequel to the original series, this is a sequel to the Q plot of The Next Generation and Voyager, and to actually tie it in, I think does actually behold you to canon.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that I've gotten frustrated with in new Doctor Who, is that Russell T Davies has been like flexible with some canon stuff that he instigated. Like, that's the most lazy form of writing, is ignoring the stuff you yourself established. It's not even saying, hey, I don't like the stuff that other showrunners have done and other writing teams, which, I mean, to me, if you're going to take on an existing legacy franchise, you need to be prepared to take on the commitments the franchise has already made to its fans, because I believe canon is kind of a commitment. It is kind of a promise you're making to help your fans understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And the more you stray from that without explaining it, the more you are just alienating people.
Yeah.
I know you haven't seen Prodigy yet. Prodigy, when it first started, has a rough couple of first episodes, because the first couple of episodes are very clearly not set in anything having to do with any existing Star Trek media. Like, there's one or two background aliens that we've seen their species before, but all the main cast, except for there's a Tellarite. Most of the main cast is species we've never seen before. Most of the setting is in this alien child prison mine where we've never seen anything set. Most of it is set where the universal translator isn't working, so we can't even understand each other well. And it feels very rough. I understand why they did it. I actually think that is one of my favorite Star Trek shows of all time now. I really like Prodigy. But it starts with kind of a trust me. This will fit into canon, but you won't see it yet. And eventually it does. And when it fits into canon, it works very hard to acknowledge multiple other shows' canonicity. It deals with Picard. It deals with Discovery. It deals with, what else? Next Generation, obviously. It deals with Voyager. It's basically a sequel to Voyager. It works very hard. It even has, I think, a few moments of Deep Space Nine references. So, like, when it gets into canon, it gets canon. It starts in a different part of the galaxy so that they don't have to deal with canon. But when they get there, because it's a show for kids and they don't want the kids to have to know 50 years of Star Trek to watch a kids cartoon, we're going to introduce it to them slowly. But then when we get to the Federation, all the adults watching with their kids are like, oh, this makes sense with all of the commitments canon has already made. Strange New Worlds, it suffers because it is a spin-off of Discovery. Discovery played so fast and loose with canon that Strange New Worlds kind of feels some freedom. They're much more restrained than Discovery was. Strange New Worlds is much more restrained than Discovery was. But Strange New Worlds also plays a little fast and loose with canon. You can tell there are people in the writer's room that are like, hey, we got to keep the canon commitments. And then you can also tell some of the producers are like, why? Yeah. There are very clearly people that are like, hey, what if we follow up on this commitment we made in this show 35 years ago? And that, oh, that's great. Let's write an episode about it. And then it gets on someone's desk and they're like, hey, this is clunky trying to make it follow the canon stuff. Let's just get rid of the canon because it'll work better as an episode. But they're ignoring the fact that, in my opinion, probably a lot of the people that are paying for and watching these shows are people that have made long existing commitments to canon. I don't think Strange New Worlds is off getting a lot of brand new Star Trek viewers. It's getting the people that wanted to see what the actual original series would have been if they had followed the Cage with a full series.
100%.
And I don't mind them updating some of it. Like I said, I think they did a much better job updating the Enterprise for 2020's vision of the future while maintaining the aesthetic of 1960s vision of the future. I think they did a good job updating it if you're going to update it.
Yeah.
I don't think you could set a whole show in 2020, whatever it is now, because it's 2017 right now. I don't think you could set a whole episode in the modern cinematography with the sets from the 60s.
Yeah.
Like, I think even when they did that on Next Gen and they had in Relics Scotty on the holodeck on the model of the Enterprise, even then it felt like more of an homage than a we could set an entire series here.
Yeah.
Now, another takeaway I have from that is stop freaking making prequels then.
Well, I mean, there's that. Oh, we'll get to that.
I am totally over prequels. Yeah. Yeah, the
So when
show
I
is like 60% committed to canon.
Yeah.
Like Kirk's on the Farragut, which is great. I'm glad you're
fine.
acknowledging that.
100%.
But also,
Why is Sam Kirk on the airplane? That feels forced.
60% committed to canon, like 60 or 65%. And the other 30% is like, why? Stop it. Pick one. Either do a reboot
Sam Kirk just
or not.
pops up like every other episode for 30 seconds and then he disappears again. Like,
okay, that part is really funny though, especially considering we know how Sam Kirk dies. It is just really funny that we're so partially invested in his character.
Yeah, so minimally invested. Just like every time, it's just like, he talks to him like, am I supposed to know who that is? Oh yeah, that's right. That's Sam Kirk. Okay, bye now. See you in 2 episodes from now. When we
I mean, to me, that was just because we want a Kirk on the Enterprise and we can't bring Paul Wesley in yet.
Why have a Kirk on the Enterprise to begin with? You don't need him. You don't need him. When I have had these conversations with my dad, who is OG Star Trek fan, invested more in the canon than you or I am, even. He has always maintained that he's fine with all of it because the point of Discovery and Strange New Worlds and everything, and especially Strange New Worlds now, is it doesn't have to, it's fine, they're going to change some things around because you have to get new people watching. He's like, okay, well, you can't expect new people to know who Spock is, so it's fine if they change everything about Spock's character. And I so deeply disagree with that. It's like I don't think you can try to get new people invested in the franchise while poisoning the well of what has gotten you here as a franchise to begin with, because all you're doing is alienating your fan base to begin with. You already have such a solid fan base of Trekkies. You can and should be able to build from that foundation. You can bring people into the fandom without alienating the people you already have. You don't have to go out of your way to make such different choices about your show because someone has a predetermined view of who Spock is already, and we don't want to be like that. Otherwise, new people aren't going to watch. New people aren't going to watch to begin with, necessarily. You know, they're not thinking, oh, is Spock in this show? I think I've heard of Spock before. What's that about? You know, it's like that doesn't make any sense to me as an argument. That's an issue. Oh, moving on. I'm not done yet. Let's talk about the episode that I know they sat down in the writer's room, because they have no original ideas left, and say, well, I don't know, we need another episode. What does every Star Trek series after the original series have as an episode? What do all of them have, Mr. Frapples?
Are you trying to refer to a Mirror Universe one?
No.
Because they don't all have that.
Holodeck episode. We are scraping the bottom.
They handled that so well.
They did
I
not.
really liked that
I
episode.
deeply disagree.
Ooh, good.
I strongly disagree. They handled that so horribly.
In the comments, talk about who is wrong with at least one ad hominem attack.
Please.
Let's get that engagement going so that we can get a 34th subscriber.
Yes. Yes, that was handled horribly. That was handled so terribly.
Okay, make your case, then I'll make mine.
Okay, the only way that will have worked is if they left a couple of people on the starbase and the holodeck was on the starbase to begin with. I would have been more okay with that if they had that instead. They did not do that. They installed a holodeck on the Enterprise. On Pike's Enterprise.
Yes.
That is a total violation of canon in every single way. Kirk's Enterprise, 10 years from now, and in the canon timeline, 10 years from now has a proto-holodeck that we see in one episode of the animated series. And it's more of like a Vista simulator. The recreation room is nowhere near the capability of an actual fully functional holodeck. The only time we actually start having a fully functional holodeck is on the Enterprise D, which is more than 100 years from now. There cannot be a fully functional holodeck on the Enterprise, no bloody A, B, C, or D.
I hardcore disagree, because part of the point of the episode is that it's not a fully functional holodeck. It's a prototype that goes very wrong. They acknowledge the recreation room that is what it is currently called, and they just throw the holodeck thing in as a nod to people who know Next Generation. And the holodeck, yes, the episode is very much a copy of Data's adventures with Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty and stuff. It feels like that. But it is so clearly a unproven, unworking technology that it actually does not bother me that it exists here, because Discovery established that the technology does exist in that time. Pike uninstalled it from the Enterprise. This is his attempt to let a little bit of it back in, and when he, slightly opens the door, it goes horribly wrong, and that is why they remove it again. It makes total sense that they remove it until the technology is more proven for the animated series, and even then, it doesn't work great, but it's not the holodeck's fault that time, or the recreation room's fault. It's the fault of the entity that possesses the computers. It works fine in my book there. The animated series didn't portray it very well, but that's because the animated series was limited by its animation budget.
That's the first time I'm hearing that. I think the animated series is had infinite budget and does not repeat any shots whatsoever.
Well,
I'm teasing entirely.
That took me way too long to realize you were teasing.
Yeah. That's 100%
yeah.
troll job. That's 100% troll job. It deeply bothers me that there's a holodeck. I would feel better about it if it was on the Starbase. But them shoehorning it in on the Enterprise is deeply disturbing to me.
I would also have preferred if it was on a Starbase. I would also have appreciated if it was on a Starbase, just because you could make it like the technology's still too big for a starship. But Discovery did open the can of worms that the holographic technology works. The only reason it hasn't been implemented yet is lack of imagination.
Well,
or Ludditeness that Pike basically set the Enterprise back a generation technologically, and Kirk didn't bother having it re-retrofitted in until later on.
Sure. I mean, to be fair, if we really dig back, the hologram technology, like the actual holographic technology, exists in Enterprise. Because Archer and his crew find an alien species who they hang out with. They have holodecks essentially on their ship that they hang out. That's how Commander Tucker gets pregnant.
Oh, I forgot about that.
That's a great episode. I love that episode. That might be my favorite episode of Enterprise. If not, it's up there. It's top 5. It's top 5. Oh, it's hilarious. It's very 2010s, to be fair. It's very like turn of the decade, 2010s. But anyway, I don't like it. I don't like it. And then also like the homage to the original story of Star Trek kind of made me feel deeply uncomfortable, because it's like, why are you, I don't know, like I understand the entire like, oh, we're gonna pretend that it's not Lucille Ball, and we're gonna pretend that it's not Gene Roddenberry, but like I feel and the computers like changing things about the people in the background to keep Lon on her toes and everything, so like not everything's just like 100% straight up, but like that still kind of made me uncomfortable. It's like you're gonna cast like having Uhura as Joni Glass just like wax poetical about your legacy while you're actively destroying its canon, to me was a very difficult juxtaposition to put me in.
They have done much worse things with canon that have a prototype rec room that they then rip out because it didn't work.
They have, but you understand my position. It's just like it feels weird to me that they're like, I don't know. I didn't like that. It would have been better if it was on the Starbase. It would have been better if it was on the Starbase.
I get it. It would have been better if it was on a Starbase. It doesn't bother me that much, but you're technically correct.
Which is the best kind of correct.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Because, like, all of the things, specifically with La'an, like, you gave her the last name Noonien Singh. Like, why is everyone not, like, super weirded out when they capture Botany Bay then? You know, because all of these people, like, if you even, like, if she was his granddaughter, but she didn't keep the last name or whatever, and very limited people knew that was her great-great-great-great-granddad, like, maybe Una and, like, a couple of other people who aren't in TOS. So that to the point when Khan shows up and they're like, he says his name's Khan Noonien Singh, and just Spock,
right,
and Uhura, and Scotty are just standing there, and Spock's just like, I wonder if that's the same Noonien Singh that I was hooking up with for like 2 years there.
That is kind of funny.
It bothers me. It bothers me. It's like nobody realizes, nobody thought that through.
Yes, that is very funny to me.
Yeah. So like that's a part that bothers me too. Okay. In general, I think that Strange New Worlds. I would agree. I would agree with your statement. There is some original ideas there, but for some reason, they are. I don't know if they're bashful about actually telling them. They're distracted. It's like they're distracted in telling the actual new stuff. I think I would have a much different reaction if they would focus on those parts of the show. Because they do have interesting plot elements. I just wish they'd actually use them.
Right. I think that is true. I also do like that Strange New Worlds return to the next generation format of we have a problem, but ultimately we're following the characters. Discovery did not do a very good job of that. It felt very uncertain where it was going. But in Strange New Worlds, it really feels like you're following a character as they deal with a situation instead of watching the ship.
Yeah.
And so I think that Strange New Worlds in general got more right than it got wrong. I think its problems with canon are... the phrase I've heard used from the theological world is a heresy of love, which is attempting to bend the truth to fit around what you believe to be the most loving interpretation instead of to being the most accurate interpretation. I really think they're heresies of love to canon, not heresies of convenience. Of like, they're trying to honor the legacy. They do screw it up, but I don't think that they're ever like, you know what we can take a dump on today? Remember that old episode with Trelane? What if we go and we just, make him entirely a horrible, whatever? What if we make him a genocidal maniac? No, he's just an imp who is now showing up at a time that he really shouldn't be there in canon in people's memories. You can hand wave it away. He looks different. You could have had him snap it away by having the Q make it so everyone forget. There's a bunch of different ways you could do it. They're not actively trying to break canon. They're just trying to have fun with it and to pay homage. Even the stuff he didn't like with the holodeck episode was definitely an homage to the early days of the Star Trek existence. And it was preachy, but so was the original series.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it has an entire episode where people are half white on one side of their body and half black on the other, and which side is which is your racism. Like, how more overtly preachy do you want than that? And it's a great episode. I love that episode.
Kirk leading an entire new civilization of humans on a distant world in the American Pledge of Allegiance. I like that one.
Okay, it had its... It also had that episode where they definitely do a Noble Savages episode with Native Americans too.
Yeah,
so it was a product of its time. But guess what? We're going back next week in Strange New Worlds, baby.
Yeah, that one is deeply problematic.
Miramani Part 2.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah.
That's what I talk about,
no.
honestly. Oh, I know a lot of like newer or like people my age who are Star Trek fans are just like kind of weirded out by the underage relationship stuff, of which there are uncomfortably multiples in TOS.
Yeah.
That does weird me out, but that episode with the Native American planet, I think, is the most problematic episode of TOS. Maybe we should do a problematic episodes of Star Trek ranking. Maybe that's our next ranking that we need to do. Which
I'm okay with that. There's also a Turnabout Intruder about how women can't lead starships, which we now know to be a false, and also was kind of bad even in its time.
That one.
Most problematic. Yeah, put that on the list.
Yeah, we'll put that on the list. I'm writing it down.
I'll have to do some research to remember that.
And that just feels accurate.
Moist. Appropriate.
Oh, Star Twerk. Star Twerk episodes. I cannot spell it today.
Don't give them any ideas for the last of Strange New Worlds.
No. Okay.
Spock. Yep. Captain, I believe that this practice was once called twerking.
That's nice, Spock.
Is that just all of the women in chorus saying that together? Oh, that's literally just Palia. That's literally just Palia.
On my studies of ancient Earth dance rituals has uncovered this one from the early 21st century to working.
Oh man.
Okay, so moving right along here. That is our Strange New Worlds update. There are. This is beautiful. You even set me up for it. You said you're so done with prequels. That you hate prequels so much. Okay. There are two fairly high-profile prequel series that have been floated by Star Trek producers right now. That are both very unofficial. Are being currently pitched. Which one would you rather see? Would you rather see Star Trek Year 1 with new Kirk and some carryover of the Strange New Worlds crew? Or would you rather see Star Trek United starring Scott Bakula as President Archer?
I have never heard of Star Trek United.
Yeah,
tell me more.
This has been popped up, I think, early this week, maybe into last week, where there's their Star Trek writer who's kept in contact with Scott Bakula for a while, actually, and Scott Bakula is apparently interested in reprising his role as Jonathan Archer, and this guy is like, hey, like, we're bringing all these people back. Apparently the conversation started when Patrick Stewart came back for Picard, that Scott Bakula was like, hey, when are we seeing Jonathan Archer coming back? And that's just been rolling around. I think it's Terry Matlas.
Oh, he was trying to do Legacy.
Oh yeah, that's right, he's trying to do Legacy. Mike Sussman. Do you pronounce it Sussman? And I'm just terminally online. It's like Sussman.
Emergency meeting.
Mike Sussman wants to, he wants to bring back Scott Bakula, which apparently he's down for and is interested in, and call it Star Trek United, and it would be Jonathan Archer being the president of the United Federation of Planets, which we know that he was because of the Mirror Universe episode of Enterprise was in his biography.
Yeah. See, I can't tell where you would go with that. Maybe if it's a mini series that's all a political crisis, sure. I don't know where that would go. I would need to have a better treatment on what they would do for a plot before I would be invested in it. I would love to see more Archer and Scott Bakula. I feel like they could do a lot of that with archival footage and other shows. Like if they had messages from President Archer in other shows, like commemorating stuff.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that. I think because Year One has a more concrete premise right now, I would rather have Year One, but I also have specific ways I would want to see Year One operate. Year One would need to operate as the season 0 of the original series, not as season 6 of Strange New Worlds.
Interesting.
Which means more anthological, maybe have a culminating problem, but not as series focused. Less I would like it to be less CWized, less focus on intership romance and more on monster of the week or problem of the week. I'd love it to actually be encountering some more new civilizations, because they've done a decent amount of the new worlds, but not a ton of the new civilizations. I would really like it to feel like these are the stories we would have gotten in another series of the original series if it had modern budget and effects.
Yeah.
And if they could do some stuff about, like, it would be really fun to see Lieutenant Eric's and, live action, that kind of thing.
You already said what I was going to say. I said I would much rather Star Trek United because from all of my issues with them shattering canon, I feel like Star Trek Year One is just a hotbed of potential issues there for me. However, if you do live action Lieutenant Eric's and live action Lieutenant Moress, I completely disregard everything that I just said. You have to do it. If you have Lieutenant Moress and Lieutenant Eric's, then forget everything I just said. I want Star Trek Year One, 100%. But that's my only requirement. That's my 100% requirement.
There's no canon reason why you can't do that. You just have them on the night shift during the time the main bridge crew is on, and you have a night shift episode.
That's pretty much how they're treated in the animated series already. I mean, they just don't come out and say it, but that's what they are.
Yeah, we both know the animated series never had any budget constraints about anything.
None whatsoever.
So, the thing is, I can't see where the series is for United. It feels like it would just turn back into Picard season 3.
I think it would be different because, Picard kind of plays around with the issue of he has a lot of intrinsic power but no actual, external power. Because everyone's...
His power to the fans, but not to the Federation.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And I think it's different for that because we're literally looking at the president, So it's like he can kind of do whatever. So I have pulled out a quote of one of the first times that he talked about this. He said, he was talking about just like funny stories from the franchise and all this sort of stuff. But someone said, what would you like to do with Archer if Enterprise hadn't been canceled? And he said a little bit like it was they're really happy to get season 4, obviously, because they were kind of on the brink of cancellation after season 3. So they were really happy to actually get season 4. But he said he thought the goal was for that to happen more slowly and for Archer to start forming the bones of the Federation. I think that would be really exciting to do. So I'm sorry we didn't get to lean into that. So I think that, I mean, there's not a lot there, obviously, but there's a little bit there of what at least Scott Bakula would want to do there, which is, like, well, he's one of the first presidents in the Federation history, right? So he's like, how are we gonna, like, this thing is so fragile. I mean, we saw from Enterprise how fragile it was to begin with. When he gets presidency, like, that's not that much more solidified. You know, I think it's very easy to just have some political thriller episodes in there and like a political thriller plot and be like, oh, we have to make sure everything stays together. Maybe there's a new threat. I think they leave a lot of meat on the bone regarding the Romulans in Enterprise. So I think there's a lot of potential for Romulans there.
Romulans would be fun, although you'd have to be careful with how you do them because you can't show them on screen.
True. You have to be a little careful about it.
Be fun. Yeah,
might be interesting to pull up some Cardassians, some very early Cardassians. Would be interesting.
To do some Cardassians, you could also do, depending on how they do with this, some early Gorn stuff.
Yeah, you could just start doing some early Gorn.
Which I don't love their redesign of the Gorn. I feel like that was a pretty big retcon, but if we're going to retcon it, let's lean in.
You know, that's hilarious because of all of the redesigns, I'm actually most kind of okay with the Gorn. And that
I mean, the guy in the big rubber suit was iconically bad.
Iconic, and I would rather that, but it'd be hilarious.
I do really hope that somehow with this Batel thing, they, like, make it so that there is one Gorn who looks that bad on purpose.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, Batel turns into that one Gorn or something.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that is Batel.
Wouldn't that be hilarious?
Would that be hilarious? That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Like, the Gorn are normally this very scary race, and Kirk encounters the worst Gorn.
Well, that one is supposed to be his captain, though, right? Isn't that Gorn supposed to be the captain?
She has experience.
That is true. She is a captain. That's true.
She goes to them and it's like, look, I'm both one of you and have inside knowledge of how Starfleet captains.
Yeah.
And they're like, great, we'll put you in command because your loyalties are now with us because we're like a super racist species. And if you're a Gorn, you're a Gorn. And so now she becomes a Gorn captain. Well, and, you know, has to kill a couple of colonies on the side. That's fine. That's fine. And then, and then she can...
I love the double-handed fist punch. It's so good.
It is great. I do like the idea of United. Here's the thing. I feel like both United and Year One should be one season max. There's not enough story there to make a series, make it a limited series, so that it's, you know, exploring the inter-time period between Archer's Enterprise and Kirk's Enterprise and the formation of the Federation. Make them all diplomatic missions where he has a diplomatic corps and a starship, you know, that's doing some of it. But keep it real low key. Don't try and do this whole big series that really should just be another Star Trek show. Year One, make it one season about Paul Wesley struggling to take command of a ship and having trouble in his first captaincy. Was he captain of the Farragut? No, he was first officer of the Farragut. He became captain of the Enterprise. If they're going to make a different one, the Lost Era still hasn't had a frickin' show, and the Monster Maroons are just sitting there. They got a lovely upgrade in Strange New Worlds, so why don't we have modern Monster Maroons? There's room for another one-season series there. You know.
Yeah, I think that is probably the most worrying comment that I heard someone say about year one. Is they said, oh yeah, we could do that first year of time, and then they said, and even we could do time like in between existing episodes. We could take this even farther than just year one. I was just like, oh, no.
I mean, if you're doing that, just declare...
Full breaks.
Okay, here's the thing, though. If they want to commit to that, I'm okay with that. But the trade-off is they have to remake every episode of the original series faithfully with modern effects. If they do that, then I want to watch them take on the worst episodes of the original series with modern effects and have it just be a shot-for-shot remake. I want to watch them have to do the cringy Native American episode with, you know, the modern actors. I want to watch them have to do Spock's brain with Ethan Peck walking around. If they're going to do that, they can do year one, but they have to remake the entire original series even at its worst. Just declare the original series non-canon at this point, and the canon ones are terrible remakes of some of the worst episodes.
How would the fan reaction be?
That's your Faustian bargain. That is your Faustian bargain, sir.
And I'm tempted. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of tempted. Oh my goodness.
Saying it's a good idea.
I feel like they could idea. I would rather them remake episodes of the anime series, not gonna lie. I'd rather them remake, because that is the one I'm rewatching right now. And there's so many cool Star Trek ideas that you can just tell that their unlimited budget just like put a hamper on. Like, we have too much money to do whatever we want, guys. Like, how are we gonna be able to do this too, you know?
Here's an idea for what they should do with it. Do a full Larry Niven and do another Slaver episode, a live-action Slaver episode. How does the crew know so much about this ancient civilization that supposedly existed? Do another thing that the crew becomes familiar with it. It's not a good idea. It's a commitment.
Ultimately, I want to see your thoughts on this. So, because we're gonna transition into the future of Star Trek here. I mean, more so than we've already been talking about.
We're what? Only an hour and 45 minutes into this short episode?
Yeah. So I am nervously interested in Star Trek or Starfleet Academy.
Only because of the legacy characters. I have no interest in that. Okay, here's the thing. I pitched to you and to many other people a Starfleet Academy show a long time ago, and that feels like we're getting the monkey's paw version of what I pitched.
Oh, 100%.
And that's not because I'm an amazing writer, but because there's so much room for a Starfleet Academy show to be great, and what they're going to do is they're going to just make it a CW show. It's just going to be who's hooking up with who.
100% super worried about it.
It should be
the thing that sold me, though.
Those should all be secondary concerns. All those relational things should be secondary concerns to basically teaching how to be a good officer. And I recognize that's very... that's a very asexual point of view to have in modern entertainment. But at the same time, if I just want a show about young people being young and hot, it doesn't need to be Star Trek.
Fun fact, Gen Z is the first generation in a while who's saying that there is so much over-sexualization in media that they would rather see significantly less relationships portrayed on screen. So if you're talking about wanting to expand the fan base and get new people watching Star Trek, that's exactly what you should do. Is you should asexualize it more. But there's that. There's a little different in there. You know what sold me and got me kind of excited for Starfleet Academy, though?
Because Palia will still be around and can hook up with the characters?
Other than that, that's number one, obviously.
What else?
A female half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon.
Yes, that was cool.
So cool and so interesting of a concept that I will watch it just for that. I don't care if she's in 2 episodes and she turns out to be a villain. That is exactly the kind of thing that I am interested in seeing. Now, I do think I am a little worried that there are so many half Klingon characters. There seem to be significantly more half Klingon characters than any other half anything, so I kind of feel like she is going to be a villain because one of the cadets is half Klingon. She's half Jem'Hadar, half Klingon. The villain, played by Paul Giamatti, is half Tellarite, half Klingon, which sounds like the...
Who would have thought Paul Giamatti, half Tellarite? Those phrases together are actually hilarious.
Are actually hilarious. I want to see
bringing
his
Bob
parents.
Picardo back
like
is the right idea.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I do want to see Paul Giamatti's parents in Star Trek, because I feel like that's just like the most domestic abuse situation of any 2 races, like ever. Is a Tellarite and a Klingon just like the most, just like constantly arguing with one another and just saying the most horrific things at all times, back and forth. That's just wild to my brain. I kind of want to see it, but
I don't know. It's possible they just had a really loving, healthy relationship. But yeah,
I guess. But that's so very not stereotypical for those 2 species.
This is true.
But I want to see it.
It's just a Klingon addicted to Ketracel White.
Oh, that's the Jem'Hadar one. That's interesting. But anyway, I think that's exactly the kind of thing that they should do. So anyway, but in general, the question that I want to pose to you is, it seems to me that a lot of these things aren't getting greenlit because the powers that be want to invest in this future timeline and progress from there. This Discovery time jump forward. They're taking that timeline and they're saying, okay, all of our shows are going to exist in this timeline now. We might go back and do like a Strange New Worlds or whatever, like prequels, but this is the new primary timeline. And to me, I firmly disagree with that. I think that the potential Star Trek Legacy timeline should be, to me, that's the prime timeline. If I am the new Skydance producer who gets Star Trek dropped on his or her desk, that is the timeline that I want to continue developing and telling stories in. I want to do that. Not even necessarily Star Trek Legacy. As whether you want to do that or not, that's a separate question. But that is the time frame that I set things in to propel canon forward, and not the time forward jump. And so I'm interested to see what you think. Which of those time frames would you want to see more shows put in, more Star Trek content produced in?
I am actually good with both. I think there's a lot of good stuff you could do post Voyager, in that, post Picard. I think there's a lot we could do there. I think part of the reason there's so much interest in the far future is that it does allow writers to kind of hand wave away stuff they don't like without it pissing off us canon types. And I am okay with that too. I am really okay with them doing shows set in the far future that are pushing the bounds of the existing universe, because 1,000 years in the future, everything's different.
Yeah.
I am really okay with that. I'm actually okay with both. And as unsatisfying as this is, I think they have done it gave something that I think is a really interesting nugget that I think they gave probably just the right amount of. Remember that episode where La'an and Kirk go back and meet Khan?
Yes, unfortunately.
I really liked one of the things they introduced in that episode, which is the idea that the temporal Cold Wars are in process of messing up canon.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
I think that was the wisest way they could answer why are things not happening the way they should. Like, we know that there was supposed to have been World War III and the eugenics wars in the 90s, and now Star Trek also knows that didn't happen. And so being able to say entire timeline is in flux because of a canon conflict was really smart. Of saying the Romulans are actively trying to rewrite Star Trek history to benefit themselves was a stroke of genius.
Yeah.
Makes sense for the Romulans. It's another reason to hate them, because those a-holes are now not only messing with our characters, they're actually messing with us, rewriting our Star Trek. So it makes fictional characters real world villains, which was really smart.
Yeah.
I think they handled that really cleverly. So as we're talking about, which canon timeline do we want to move forward, I think that both the post-Discovery stuff has a ton of potential, and I think the post-Picard, post-Prodigy stuff has a ton of potential. Quite frankly, if they did a show set there, it would give some really cool opportunities to let some of the plot threads they introduced in Prodigy get picked up. We will need to do an episode sometime about you finally watching Prodigy, because it's really good.
Yes.
And it's going away in January. Boo. So we need to put something down of talking about Prodigy, because I really like Prodigy. And the place that it ties in with Picard, it actually has a couple of surprising tie-ins with Picard. Yeah. That has left that at a place that you could do a Star Trek Legacy. You could do a sequel to Voyager that has some of the kids from Prodigy with some of the characters from Picard. If one of them was serving on Seven of Nine's ship, that would be legit. You could do some really fun stuff of tying that in. A legacy doesn't just have to be a follow-up to all that. It can be a follow-up to everything. I would love to see a well-written show there. I would also really like to see what they could do in the far future. I will be honest, I would much rather have the Starfleet Academy show be the one that's set in the legacy time, and you have the legacy characters involved in Starfleet Academy. You can have Janeway, because of all of this now, and talking about how their numbers are so depleted from spoiler alert for the end of Prodigy, but it ties into the end of Picard. The attack on Utopia Planitia by the synths is the end of the show, and that's how Prodigy ends. Is their mission is cut short because they're not doing exploration anymore. Set a Starfleet Academy show then, with a Starfleet Academy that is pivoting away from its core values of exploration into defense, because then we could actually see what they are training cadets at a time when Starfleet is at risk of losing its soul. Let this be a moment when Starfleet is in jeopardy of, are we an exploration and scientific organization, or are we fundamentally a defense organization? And what better place to have that conversation than in an academy?
I love it. I love it so much.
That's when they should have set the show, because then we could have the existing cameos. I want a visiting lecture from Jellicoe, who shows up in Prodigy multiple times.
Yes, please.
Jellicoe comes back then. Why frickin' not? I want to have Tim Russ come back in and Tuvok his way through some lectures. Why not? I want to have Catherine Janeway there. I want to see all that stuff, and there's no reason why we couldn't do that. Starfleet Academy should have been Legacy, and we should have had a different show to follow up Discovery. They really blew it on that. Also, you know who else could appear in that Academy set in the Legacy time frame? The frickin' Lower Decks characters. Do you want Connie Newsom in the writer's room, or do you want her in the writer's room and on screen teaching people, having learned that she might not be the most obedient person to the rules, but teaching people how to work within them? I rest my case.
I love it. I love it, actually. I do think, let's just briefly saying that, I guess maybe she died. But saying that Commander Mariner was Commander was the highest rank that Mariner ever achieved in Star Trek was a little surprising to me, or in Starfleet was a little surprising to me. I mean, she is very...
Is that on the wall
Yeah.
in the trailer?
Yeah, so she's a commander.
That's frustrating to hear.
That is a little
Not
frustrating.
surprising.
What was more... so I was more angry about it at the time, but then I've gone back and I've reflected and I've kind of changed how I feel about it. What was more surprising to me at the time was Lieutenant Commander Nog. Saying Nog only reached the Lieutenant Commander. That's it.
I understand why. It's because they were trying to make it so that every character doesn't become a captain.
Well,
They sure chose some interesting ones.
Sure. But actually, I was reflecting on it, and I kind of understand because Nog has an entire, PTSD, Wounded Warrior arc that he goes through. To a degree, Nog at the end of his character arc is not the same Nog who's like, I want to be the first Ferengi captain in Starfleet. Like, he is not that much gung-ho anymore about it all. So I kind of can see the character arc of he's lieutenant commander, he's probably chief engineer of a starship for several years, and then he retires and he's like, you know what, this is the most that I want to be. I don't want to go farther than this. I don't want to be a captain. I'm done. I kind of want to just go chill. So I can kind of see that from the character, but it did take me a little bit to get there. The first time I saw that, I was like, that's deeply disrespectful. And I kind of feel like they just chose him because that's the Ferengi. But the more I think about it, I'm like, I think that for Nog specifically, I'm kind of okay with it. And I feel similarly about Mariner, actually. Because it's like, Mariner is so anti-authority that, to a degree, I kind of feel like Commander is the highest rank that she could actually get. Because I could really see her being a really good commander, being like the XO of a starship, and just like having that rapport with her captain that she's kind of just like still chaos off the wall a little bit, but she is very good at her job. But that wouldn't translate to the captain's chair full time, I don't think. So I kind of feel like I kind of agree with it for Beckett, but it is a little interesting. At least, is Boymes listed as a captain? I think Boymes is listed as a captain. I don't remember. I
don't even know what to say.
But we got Admiral Harry Kim. That's what's important. Is Admiral Harry Kim.
That was actually the funniest thing.
Yeah. Anyway, how did we ever sign this thing off? I never rechecked that.
Well, I think we would end by saying good evening. I've been Bob Frapple, 65 and 18 cents. And he's been Sasquatch Pariah. Then it's been a long road getting from there to here.
It's been a long time. My time is finally near.
Quick, cut it off before we get copy-stricken.
Well, if I sing horribly enough, then it won't even pick up as being in the red tune.
There you go. Right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, and good evening.
Good evening.